Audio. There we go. Live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to D&D&D&D&D, campaign number 2 of Black Ink and Blue Blood. Good timing, Caleb.
I made it.
You made it just as I was starting the intro. When we last left off, the party had successfully completed the
We're missing
temple.
someone.
They're on the way. When we last left off, the party had successfully completed the Temple of Restraint, but upon exiting, found themselves under assault by the very same pack of Death Dozen dragons that had investigated them earlier in their trip. According to Liv, the creatures are smart enough to remember faces and consider the concept of revenge, very much unlike regular animals. With that being said, though, Kero, in a moment of insight, convinced the pack to allow the party to challenge the Alpha. And the Alpha, sensing that the tide had turned against it, decided to make off with their tail between their legs, but their life intact. And so, in exchange for the promise of a continued hunt, and potentially the extended loyalty of the Raptor pack, the Death Dozen dragons have fallen in line, provided that Kero and Gil assist them in gathering food for themselves, as they have eggs being kept in the valley that they are looking to, well, look after. With that being said, as Kero is not here at the moment, I will say, is there anything the rest... Gil, I know you said you intend to assist with the Death Dozen's hunt. Is there anything of note the rest of you want to do during the continued foray in across the Jade Valley?
I would
Gil?
also like to help.
All right, Neon's helping with the hunt.
I will give, let's see, I'll give guidance to Kero. That's my way of helping, because
Okay.
Lucian refuses to hunt.
All right.
Man, fucking vegans, am I right?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
It's the circle of life.
All right. To Bajer Boys, what are the two of you going to be doing, if anything? You don't have to help with the hunt. There's already...
Caleb is staying firmly in the cart.
All right.
I don't mean to... I would like to mention... I just turned my entire space into a fucking minefield because I just dropped my box of replacement X-Acto knife blades and they went everywhere.
No!
Be very careful.
Oh, you don't have to tell me twice, dude. This is
Why do you
situation.
have those just open on near a ledge?
That's the thing. I was trying to close it, and it slipped out of my hand.
No.
Do you have like you need like a sock or something to cover your hand with?
Yeah, for real.
All right.
Oh
my god.
Nice
Zephyr,
knowing you.
Zephyr, what are you going to be doing?
Yeah, he bleeds out through a cut in his foot.
Enough blood. Well, he's definitely not going to do this whole hunt thing.
It's Lucian and the Bajer Boys.
Yep.
Give in to your wild side, Zephyr, your inner lizard man.
I will say that Lucian is gonna get out her medical book, and unless she's spoken to, she probably will just immerse herself.
All right. Neon, as Morgan is already unbuckled from the cart, and Gil walking up alongside. Caro gives a nod to everyone, and all right, let's go hunting. And as you guys head out,
Now I'm sitting here thinking about the evolution of a kobold.
Gil and Neon, as Caro already has guidance, one of you can give Caro advantage, or but at least one of you will need to make a survival check of your own. But you guys can choose who helps Caro.
Survival.
Survival is.
Let me see. How's my survival?
I don't feel like mine's very good. Oh, actually, it's really good. I'll make my own survival check.
All right, Gil.
You have good wisdom. You are a wise fox.
Gil, if you wish, you can help Caro.
I'm street smart.
Yeah, I'll help Kira.
Hey, Matthew, would wisdom be street smarts?
Basically, yes, because wisdom controls like your perception and your and just your
And
ability.
intelligence is like book smarts?
Yeah, that's a very like roundabout way of looking at it. Yes.
It's more like Lucian.
Book smart.
Yeah.
Street smarts. All right. Neon, make me a survival check, and Caro will get one with advantage and guidance.
All right. I got a 11, baby. Beat that,
Woo!
losers.
All right. Caro gets a 23.
Damn it. I've been bested.
Neon, as the group, with the Death Dozen packs splitting in half, 3 following Caro and Gil, 3 following you, Neon, you guys decide to part to cover more ground, and with the Death Dozens going with you, you feel a little less concerned about going off by yourself. And while the pack proves to be more than effective hunters, welcome, Caro. All you missed was the hunt has begun. Gil is helping you, and Lucian gave you guidance, and Neon's taking their own hunting shift. The pack has split in half, with half going with you and Gil, half going with Neon, and I was just narrating what happens to Neon. I already rolled survival on your behalf. You got a 23.
Oh, thanks.
No problem.
Yeah, sorry.
But like, damn,
Yeah,
you just
I get
do
it.
everything for me at this point.
But yeah, so Neon, while the Death Dozens prove to be effective hunters, your Stimpy Stompy mech does sometimes scare off potential prey. But with you acting as assistants, the Death Dozens do manage to snag a couple of those large, fat flying dragons that you've been seeing in the swamps. What's up?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were done.
No, go on.
Now, would I be able to try to hunt for something specific?
What would you like to hunt for?
The Mega Raptor.
Go ahead, the big prey.
Make me another survival check. Can do. Much better this time. 18.
Okay.
I got +5 to survival. It's like my second highest stat.
As the Death Dozens grab the two, what I will say for you guys' benefit, Dimorphodons. As the Death Dozens grab the 2 Dimorphodons that you managed to assist them in catching, as you guys start making your way back to the cart, you instead turn your attention to tracking. And I will say what you find in a moment.
Awesome.
Caro and Gil, with the 2 of you working together, combined with Lucian's guidance and the assistance of the Death Dozens, your hunt is very successful. You managed to catch 4 of the Dimorphodons. They appear to be the only creature that is, to be blunt, dumb enough to come to the Jade Valley. Not to mention they appear to travel in large numbers. And you even find the Death Dozens pilfering eggs from what appear to be a nest of some kind, although you do not know what of. Overall, a successful first afternoon of hunting. And
I was going to say, Gil also wants to specifically hunt for the Mega Raptor.
Maybe another survival check.
So Google has like a fucking whole ass game on it right now.
Yeah, they do that. They do that occasionally.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's not like the other
That's,
ones we've seen on Google
15.
before, where it's like a simple little thing.
And what'd you get, Gil?
15.
All right. Well, similar to Neon, we'll get back to you in a second. And as the afternoon quietly passes, Zephyr, Caleb, Lucian, and Liv only occasionally hearing the distant shrieks of the Death Dozens on the hunt. Liv kind of stares at all of you, and I will assume somebody brings him up to speed on what the actual hell is happening.
No.
Sure.
No.
Lucian will sum it up for him as she reads.
Mm-hmm. And he squints a little suspiciously, but doesn't seem completely disbelieving and more just hesitant, and does not drop his guard as about 4 hours later, the sun beginning to start setting, but not actually sunset yet. The packs and those who had been assisting them return. In total, 6 Dimorphodons, some bundles of edible eggs in tow, and Neon and Gil, as the pack congregates and begins to devour and split their food, you two begin to scour for potential tracks. And you both do end up finding something, although Neon, you are a touch more successful than Gil is. Whether that's just your past as an investigator making you a bit better at this sort of thing or something else, you're the first to spot it. You navigate the path that you had seen the Mega Raptor take, Gil not far behind you, as you guys had regrouped with the caravan about the same time. And Neon, you start to notice, especially once it gets into the undergrowth, an absence of tracks, which doesn't alarm you, it more alerts you. And you kind of curiously have Morgan brush aside some dirt where you would expect a track of this thing. This thing was huge. It's definitely leaving tracks. And sure enough, it is. But it's covering them as it goes. But from the looks of the tracks you and Gil find, Gil, once Neon points out to you that it's covering the tracks as it goes, makes it a bit easier for you to follow as well. Neon will need a moment, but yeah, I will say for your benefit, Gil, it looks like the Alpha is heading, from your perspective, that would be west. Seems like they're heading out of the Jade Valley and either into the valley where the nests are or potentially out into Stalker Forest.
So, if I had to guess something that's got a habit of revenge, would be going after the nest and the mates.
Okay.
Would that be pretty close on the mark in your opinion?
I mean, I can't necessarily give feedback on what
Guesses.
yeah, like that's a reasonable guess. I can't say whether it's correct or not.
Okay. Next question. How did Ruby look?
Ruby actually looks a lot better. They've been fed consistently. You've not been working them super hard. While they did fly off in a panic at the onset of the death dozens, it doesn't take long for you to find them, as they have been specially trained to not go too far, unless too far from their owner unless forced. They do. Not leave the caravan, but they do seem to be cautiously staying up in the treetops, not seeming comfortable being near the death dozens.
Mm.
Neon back yet?
One more time.
Is Neon back yet?
It
Jacob?
doesn't. Yeah, it does not appear so.
No.
But in the meantime, it looks like you guys continuing through the Jade Valley would follow the tracks anyway, so you two can continue monitoring which way the Mega Raptor went and go from there. And if Neon comes back, then you guys can present theories. That being said, if nobody has anything else, you guys continue your trek. Kato, you should have another cast of Speak with Animals, but you did get a pretty good haul of food, and after eating their fill, the death dozens start gathering up what they didn't eat, and given that they seem a lot faster than you guys, unless you halt them, seem intent on going ahead so that they can get the food to their nests.
Yeah, well, that's good.
That's all there's
Kiaro?
time for them.
All right, Kara does not appear to be here, so as the death dozens start to split off from you guys, darting off into the undergrowth, although you do notice they give you guys kind of cautious surveying looks. While animals cannot necessarily emote the concept of gratitude, they do seem at least grateful for the assistance. And gathering up the eggs and what's left of the Dimorphodons into their mouths, dart off with one final look towards all of you into the undergrowth. Going off ahead, presumably, to, again, drop the food off at their nests and store it safely. You get another few hours of trekking before night falls. And Lucian, you said you were intent on taking first watch over and having Gil take second.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, my headphone decided to turn off. That's correct.
Okay. So, Gil, assuming you have no objections, easy enough to do.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm back.
Hello. For your review, you did find tracks, although it looks like the Mega Raptor is covering them as it goes to avoid being followed. But it looks like they're heading out of the Jade Valley to the basically to the same area you guys are going. So they could either be heading to the nests or potentially out into Stalker Forest. Gil theorizes, as the two of you go a little bit ahead of the group to survey these tracks, Gil theorizes that it might be trying to get to the nests to take its anger out on the mates and eggs.
That's what I was thinking.
and the Death Dozens went on ahead of the group to return the food to their nest, and presumably,
Boy, are they ready for a surprise?
Where they presumably will regroup with you guys at the entrance and determine the course going forward. So, you guys make some progress through the Jade Valley. Night falls, and I still have Lucian and Gil's watches noted, with Zephyr assisting Gil and Neon assisting Lucian. If you guys don't have anything you want to say or do during the day's travel or during the rest. Lucian, unless you magically provide, just feel free to say if you are. Another day of rations and a day of water for everyone. And again, including animals. What's up?
How is everybody's water? I think I just refilled it.
Yeah, I believe you topped them off. Yeah, basically at worst they only have a day. Like basically they even if they drank worst case scenario, they'd still have a day's worth of water. So
okay. I'll probably do it tomorrow then.
Okay. So you guys load up on water, hydrate yourselves, dine on your rations, and as always, take off any extras to account for any additional mouths you have to feed. And whether it is due to your contact with the Death Dozen Dragons or the alphas not leading any hunts, while you guys are still careful to keep your guard up, Liv especially seems very suspicious of any potential help the Death Dozen Dragons are going to be of, and noticeably stays high up in the trees with Ruby and does not seem intent on coming down. The night passes without incident. You all get a long rest, and your next day of travel begins. You guys estimate that you will likely be out of Jade Valley by the by nightfall. So if there's anything you guys want to do while still in the area, now's the time to do it. You guys continue trekking your way through the jungle. Again, the cut and damage you've done to the jungle growth, speeding you along. And while Liv does still provide direction and guidance, he again stays up in the tree line, kind of ushering Ruby along and kind of grumbling to himself the whole way, seeming very unhappy about this alliance proposed with the Death Dozens. As you guys make your way, Neon, with some assistance, you're able to easily enough hook the cart back up to yourself and guide the group along. While bugs and heat do return, likely as a result of the Death Dozens no longer actively hunting for the time being, it's small price to pay for not being hunted yourself. And eventually, the heat begins to die down, and you find the trees beginning to thin out. And while there is still that perpetual mist from the river, you're back at that craggy crossroads that divides the path to Forman and the valley where the Death Dozens nest, and out to Stalker Forest. And as a refresher, you guys would know that Stalker Forest is the way you need to go, as Zipper Swamp is where Liv claims the actual temple to be. But as you guys arrive at...
Is there a way around the Stalker Forest? Because I do not want another, like, I don't want an encore of what happened last time.
Checking the map, the only way around it would be to try to pass through or over the mountains that divide Scalders Lake from the Nightmare Mountains.
Kero, do you think that you could get us through the mountains successfully? And, like, quickly?
Yes. Did it cut out?
No, you're good.
Sorry.
Okay.
It's fine. We got it.
The biggest issue is we don't know anything about these mountains.
Liv, do you know anything about these mountains?
Dunno. Never actually climbed them before. That's usually where the creatures make their nests. Stalker Forest is their hunting ground, to be sure, but I think they'd be even angrier if they found us intruding on the nests. Remember, it's breeding season. That means they've got eggs to protect.
Yeah, I guess I just don't want to go through that again. I mean, that was a lot.
Well, you guys have dealt with them once. Reckon as long as you keep, if I had to pick a guy in check.
Lucian looks pointedly at him.
And he looks off into the distance.
I will give you
I don't know what you're talking about.
He starts making his way down one of the last of the trees that leads into the Jade Valley. Ruby kind of curiously watching him go, but the two of them both freeze as you all hear a twig snap and the sound of crunching gravel underfoot. And Kero, out of the fog, you see a familiar Death Dozen dragon. One of the smaller ones, the one you had negotiated with. Staring at all of you. The dried, caked blood from their earlier food still around their mouth.
Charming.
Is my
I'm
spell
not
still
gonna lie.
active?
No, it's been almost 24 hours since you cast it, so...
Hey Matt, I'd like to look at the surrounding area, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Make a perception check. It is there is some fog, so unless you have a way to see through it, disadvantage.
How about
Guidance.
listen?
Yes, Caleb.
Listen.
Like I hate to say something unrelated, but dude, this fucking Google Doodle game is actually fire.
Just doodling while we're D&Ding.
No, it's not doodling. That's what they're called. They're called doodles.
Oh.
You know how like will Google have like a painting or like a game on their main page?
Mm-hmm.
They're called doodles.
Mm.
Oh, I see what it is. Anyway.
How does the Death Dozen dragon look?
Yeah, does it look injured?
No, it seems satiated. It's still cautious, not full on trusting all of you yet. It kind of has that nervous side step to it, like it's ready to bolt or attack if anyone moves a little too quickly or makes too loud of a noise. But it's looking to Kero and tilting its head as it lets out a...
Oh, cast speak with that. Wait, did I only cast it once?
Yeah, but you've gotten a long rest, so your spell
Okay,
slots
so
are...
I'll cast it again.
Yeah. The Death Dozen. The Death Dozen kind of tilts their head, and as you cast the spell, repeats what it seems like it was trying to say. The offering is satisfactory.
gives a big froggy smile and just, thank you.
You are skilled hunters.
Throw nuts.
I gotta stop playing this. I'm gonna get distracted.
As you are too.
They give a somewhat frightening, snarly face that you think is their approximation of a grin. And what would you have us do now?
One second, remembering that me am out of character, trying to remember back conversation.
The group was interested in possibly trying to get the pack's loyalty to
Bill was interested.
and whether they would basically there was division over how long such an arrangement would last. The creatures themselves do not seem comfortable straying too far from the valley, as you know them to have nests to care for. And also, Neon, what'd you get for your perception?
What I was going to ask is, since I can't see through the fog as well, could I listen?
Do you have any like bonuses for listening?
Yes, I do. I have 2 big ol' ears. I get advantage on any perception check that involves listening.
I'll call it a flat roll.
All right.
Why would fog
15.
affect his hearing?
Well, it's not that basically I'm giving him disadvantage because he basically can't see, so it's only his hearing. But because he gets advantage on things based on his hearing, that cancels out the disadvantage into just a flat roll.
Fair enough.
Can I give him guidance?
Sure.
Also,
Lucian, you kind of
fog
lean forward
can
in the cart
distort sounds.
to tap Morgan. And what, Gil?
I was saying that fog can distort sounds.
That is true.
I'll give Morgan a little pat.
Yeah,
Maybe
alright,
this will help you see.
So flat perception roll, Neon, and you have a D4 you can add to it from Lucian's guidance.
Before,
Nice.
can guidance get like a stronger dice later?
You can use bless.
No, guidance itself, no. So
Yeah, guidance on his own, no, but there is more powerful versions of it. But it's a cantrip, so
Okay.
you can use it basically infinite times. So
yeah.
Mhm.
I got
it balances out.
I got a 2, so 17 total.
They're not some bards,
Neon, as you carefully learning from your past experiences, you perk your ears up and listen. And while between being contained within Morgan and sight and sound being like blurred or distorted for you, it is difficult, but you do hear the occasional slight tumbling of gravel, which implies that the group is likely surrounded, but they do not appear hostile. It appears more of a precautionary measure, given that you do recognize the one Caro's communicating with is the one that you had assisted in the hunt. So it seems more like they want to be there just in case things sour, but aren't actively moving to attack. But yes, you can tell from the some disruptions in the area around you and the rolling of gravel mounds that you are likely surrounded as per the norm.
As per the norm. The
As
everyday
always.
thing. Yeah.
The Death Dozen stares at you, Caro, waiting for an answer.
We were hoping that you could travel with us for now.
They kind of
Maybe
tilt.
bring back some more food for your babies.
The Death Dozen lifts up a foot and kind of munches, kind of almost like grooming itself as the wicked sickle claw hangs freely. And as it plants its foot once again, it tilts its head in thought and a fair few of my siblings are interested. Our territory is shrinking. The bipeds have taken our land and shrunk our territories. The mountains are unsafe. The mists hold threats.
We can help expand it.
The creature stares at you for a long moment, almost considering, and
Try again.
Hey, Caro.
Hmm.
I know this is probably a horrible idea,
Lucian's eyes narrow.
but
It's going to be like, then maybe you
Since-
shouldn't do it.
That's why he suggested.
there's nothing I'm going to do.
Then maybe you
But-
shouldn't suggest it.
Mm-hmm.
If there, like, is she translating?
Yeah, is Caro translating?
She's just listening for now.
okay, so Caro's not translated what the raptor's saying.
Okay, then in that case, I can't say anything.
Okay.
The creature stares at you for a long moment, Caro, before it licks its chops and... You understand. Our alpha will hunt you.
That is, if he can try to defeat me.
The creature snarls, and you can hear several barks and yips, almost derisionary from the surrounding fog, which alerts the rest of you sans Neon to the fact that you are completely surrounded.
Yeah, Guild already figured. They're creatures of habit.
We will not fight our alpha on your behalf. Only you have the right to challenge.
That's
But
okay.
they kind of snap their fangs and nod their head towards the and the rest of you can see the visual cues and just hear the two of them kind of barking and growling at each other, but the raptor nods its head towards the path that would lead out to Stalker Forest. The Den Mother is willing to take our eggs to a new nesting ground where there will be more food, more space, and more freedom from the bipeds. And they step forward until they're almost nose to nose with you. Their breath absolutely
Don't they
delightful,
walk
by
on
the way.
2 legs?
One more time.
Don't they walk on 2 legs?
Technically, but
Yeah, but
you
they're
imagine.
more hunched than.
Yeah, they have like
we
that
are.
hunched, like they could go quadrupedal if they wanted to posture. And as they step forward to you, Carol, almost nose to nose again, their breath absolutely delightful. As they snarl, you will escort the Den Mother and my pack mates across the forest.
Carol nods.
If our eggs make it to the other side, we will find new nesting grounds. And while the Den Mother sees the eggs protected and our territory established, my siblings and I will assist you until you no longer have need of us. But if the Den Mother is killed, or the eggs are lost, or my pack mates are slaughtered, I will ensure that you join them.
Okay. I don't intend for them to be hurt.
Don't take a deal that we don't need.
This is Karo's doing. All we hear either one side or we just hear yapping from both sides.
You can't
Yeah.
fucking stop me.
You can't stop me!
It's like, it is just
I
Carol
love
making
her.
a deal that we don't necessarily need.
Liv kind
Acting
of.
universally on the part of the party, which is something we've talked about.
Yep.
Liv, yep. Liv knew what he was talking about when he called out Caro. Speaking of, Liv kind of furrows their brow as they stare at the surrounding fog, almost willing it to part and allow him to see the predators surrounding the group. And they kind of mutter to themselves, not outright saying anything audible, but their grip around their blade tightens. And the raptor leans even closer towards you, Caro. Not quite touching you, but almost as if it's aware that it can't make skin-to-skin contact with you. But as it stares at you for a long moment, it lets out a low hiss, almost like air being released from a tire. Agreed. And as it steps back, it, from the rest of you guys' perspective, gives an echoing, that kind of coughing sounding bark, and you hear it echoed from the fog around you, as several death dozens emerge from the fog, more than the ones you had initially encountered. You see some of the little ones. You recognize one of whom having the burn scars that Neon left on it.
Do they look hostile?
No, they just step out of the fog, and kind of the smaller ones who do not have the familiarity with you as the big ones do, kind of curiously sniff at Morrigan in the cart. And Neon, you notice one with burn scars on the left half of its body, look up at you and kind of give a low.
I open a viewport in the cockpit and poke my head out and go, oh, dang it, hang on, I gotta turn off for you to automatically detect. I stick my head out the window, so to speak, look at it and go.
The raptor like flails and scrambles before darting back towards the rest of its comrades.
Fucker.
That's great.
Caro, what did you do?
Caro smiles wide.
Caro?
They want to go to a new nesting ground. They're losing territory.
Look, I get it. I really do. But do we have time for this? We have places to go.
It is too late.
Too late.
Caro.
And Caro, you can hear a low hiss from the death dozen behind you as it. Too late.
I guess.
See, he agrees. We already agreed.
I don't understand anything that creature is saying. However, I do not like the way that it's looking at me like I'm tomorrow's lunch.
The creature tilts its head at you, Lucian, and turns to you, Caro, and hisses out, "An alpha should control their pack."
Oh, try me.
She's talking to Caro.
Yeah.
Caro, control your pack, apparently.
Lucian just kind of like crosses her arms.
At first, I was the captain. Now Caro's the alpha.
Yeah. So Liv thinks Zephyr's in charge, and the Death Dozens think Caro's in charge.
Like,
and the Dark Elves think Lucian's in charge.
Yeah, it's like every group we meet thinks a different one of us is in charge.
I don't know. Nobody's ever thought Gil was in charge.
Not yet.
For a reason.
Yeah, not yet.
Like, not yet, but I mean.
Yeah, we just need to meet some like.
Let's go to Gyogre, and that will change, I bet.
I want to know what the hell kind of group is going to think Caleb is in charge.
The fair folk, maybe.
Yeah, like, or just like a group that sees like one part of you that's like commanding people and like, oh yeah, he's in charge.
Yeah, he's obviously the boss.
That's kind of happened with
Kara?
Lynn. I just said some things and I was like, all right, apparently I'm in charge.
Carol,
Yes.
sweetheart,
Mm-hmm.
we need to get going. We have to take care of Ergos, and we have all of these things to do. Why? I get it. I really do, and I feel bad for them. But isn't it their responsibilities as their own creatures to like defend themselves?
How would they defend themselves when they're not the ones that are causing the problem? People
What?
come in with weapons that they can't even see and shoot them down. How will they defend then?
What?
Well,
Defending.
I will remind you that they can certainly go
Defend?
undetected. They can certainly defend themselves, especially against people or even other animals. It just confuses me why we're helping them.
Well, why don't we even see where they're going? It might even be on our way.
Yes.
So why not get two birds and one stone?
Why is it looking at me like that, Caro?
Because you're
Because you're
worrying.
loud and obnoxious.
Do not worry. They'll be okay.
I'm always worrying, Caro.
And this is why creatures try to attack you. You must be strong. You must be staunch.
Lucian kind of narrows her eyes.
Well, if it's not on the way and she chooses to help them, we can always split the party. Carol can go
As
ahead.
long
One
as
way
it's
or
on the
another.
way, as long as it's on the way and we're not going out of our way.
I didn't hear you.
Even if we are, it'd be nice to have their help.
We don't have time, Carol. We have a time limit.
Like I said, she can help.
Weren't-
We'll do our own thing.
Carol shrugs.
Correct me if I'm
Carol.
wrong, but weren't we about to go out of our way to go help your new girlfriend or whatever? Hardly seems fair.
Lucian's face just kind of turns a shade of pink. Look.
Caleb's gonna pipe up.
I feel like that's slightly different.
And
Not
Caleb,
really.
Caleb's also going to add, well, they might be Lucian's new girlfriend, but they're also an ally. Raptors, or the Death Dozen dragons, are not allies.
Yes, exactly. We
They
know
could
that
be.
Sun Dragon is our ally.
I don't
and,
think
you
a
know,
bunch of animals are going to be much help against what we're
and
dealing
even
with.
if they are,
Let's speak to them
who's to
about
say that
the
who's to
plight
say
of
that
the-
they won't change alliances if things go sour? Like if we got attacked, what if they see that as an opportunity?
And for all you know, Sun Dragon's just playing you.
Lucian kind of like
Ooh.
squints her eyes. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Well, in all the time that y'all been arguing, we could have been making progress.
I agree. And I'm
Well-
just saying, I don't think that we have the time to, unless we're going that way anyways, to do what Carol wants us to do. Like, I don't mind helping you, Carol. I want to help you. And I want you to be able to do what you want to do. But also, we have places to go.
Like I said, we can split the party.
Zephyr, that is not the answer, and you know it.
I mean, it sounds like Carol had made up her mind, and it sounds like you don't want to do the idea anyways. So, what's the
Is it on the way,
compromise?
Carol?
Carol's gonna look to the oh god.
Death Dozen Dragons.
Yeah. Do you have a name to the one that she's been talking to?
It kind of tilts its head, almost surprised at the question, but actually gives you an almost immediate response after its initial surprise. Soren.
Sorry, I didn't hear the name. It cut out.
Soren.
Okay. So Soren, Where do you want to relocate to?
They tilt their head and think for a long moment, and the Fury Forest.
Do I know where that is?
You've seen the map, and you have the map on you, so it's easy enough to check. Fury Forest is actually literally just across Scalders River from Zipper Swamp, which is where you're going.
Okay.
The canopy
Yeah.
will protect us from the flyers, and there will be ample prey coming from the south. But protection from the bipeds.
Yes.
We will nest
It
in the
sounds like a good
we will
place
nest
to
in the
be.
cove through the mountains.
It sounds like a good choice.
They give another snarling grin.
When I don't think you care about what the bipeds are up to, but hopefully when we do what we need to do, the ones that care about you will come back.
They, at this, kind of tilt their head. You can actually see several of the other dragons turn their attention to you. And the scaled ones.
Yes, we are fighting for them.
They tilt their heads and I see. The deal stands, but if you see my kin cross the forest safely, my siblings and I will happily help you feast upon the bipeds. This is our land.
Well then.
Okay. Trying to change
You
things
really
so
is?
it'll not cut out.
Mhm.
Yes, Carol will relay what was said.
So it is on the way?
Yes.
Yeah, it's literally like the smallest detour, and I'll say, Caro, for your benefit, Soren did tell you that the members of the pack who would actually be doing the nest building will split off from the fighters who will be accompanying you. So basically, once you get to the river, the pack will split up, and if you keep your end of the bargain, Soren and his siblings will accompany you to provide manpower.
Yes, so we will protect them on our way, but they will help us once we do.
And what happens if we can't provide the protection? Do we can become dinner?
Yes.
Lucian just kind of sighs heavily. You can't promise something like that, Carol.
Why not?
Well, it's either we become dinner for them, or we become dinner for this those big tree-like things. The stalkers.
How did any of that make any sense?
Either we'll die from one, because if they get picked off, we'll get picked off. So, it's mutual protection.
Let's just go.
Caleb's just going to say, it would be nice if you at least asked people before you made agreements for them.
Yeah, didn't you guys yell at me for the same fucking thing?
I didn't do this.
I wasn't
His hands
talking
off.
to you.
Oh.
That's what she's saying. But,
Like, didn't you, yell at me not too long ago for doing the same fucking thing?
Who, Carol?
How
I
is
mean,
this
Carol didn't
okay?
yell.
You know what I mean. You fussed at me.
Oh no! Fussing! Not that! Anything with that!
Gil, you couldn't get hurt on it.
Shall we get
Carol
going
just shrugs and just. Sometimes I speak from the
off.
heart and I don't think right.
Yeah.
Carol,
That kind of thing.
All they care
I speak from the heart as well. You know, it's not like I'm like, you know, like when I send messages to Lucifer, it's not like I'm doing it like out of like spite or anything. It's because I love him. But like this seems like you know what?
You're not just making decisions for yourself anymore.
Yeah.
You. And we can't get caught up helping every little small thing whenever there's bigger fish to fry.
Carol stares deeply into the eyes of the party and just. Then if you don't like it, then you can go on the other way. It is fine.
I want
You
to
see,
help
this is why I don't even
Carol.
say things like that in character, because I know it's not really an option. Like, it's just kind of a waste of time to say that, because it's not really an option in D&D.
I mean, what's not an
Lucian's gonna
option?
go over to Carol.
Splitting the party.
I mean, it's an option, just not a good option.
Yeah.
Which is
I'm gonna
basically
go
not an
over-
option.
I'm gonna go over to Carol and hold her hand. We are a team. I am with you, Carol. Caleb is right though. We can't just make decisions by ourselves.
Besides, there'll be plenty of time to solve little problems once we dealt with the big problems.
Leon,
I-
can you go?
I will do this
they
with you,
argue.
Carol.
Yeah, can we, like,
I will
get
do-
a move on while they're talking? Like, can we not wait
Yeah.
for us to finish? Just
Well,
instead of just standing there like idiots?
Neon, are
I
you good with
mean-
that? You control the party's mobility for the moment.
Sure.
Carol,
Gato?
Yes.
I will do this with you because you are my friend.
Bunch of jackasses.
But please, next time, talk to us. Tell us what is going on, and we can make the decision together. Please.
Okay. Usually animals don't have these kind of problems where they need to move and find other places,
Well,
at least with their help.
problem is technically the reason they need help is because of us.
Yes.
That's their problem, so.
I do agree that this is their problem, but I will do this with you, Carol.
It is. We all say it is their problem, but they all die because of us.
Yeah, again,
That's good.
doesn't change the fact that it's their problem.
Carol shakes her head and just. People have no sympathy. Animals are easier.
We don't have sympathy, Carol. It's not that at all. Because we do have sympathy.
You do? What's that?
At least I do. I can't speak for Zephyr.
Well, there went all the progress.
What? I don't speak for Zephyr.
I mean, he'd probably agree with that. Yeah, fair.
Once Neon starts pulling the cart, Lucian and Caro hand in hand, keeping pace on foot, Soren gives a call over the shoulder, and the pack starts to almost form a sort of protective circle. The smaller death dozens, which would be velociraptors, forming this sort of loose orbit around the inner circle of the larger ones, including Soren. And in the center, the most protected space, Caro, I mean, all of you can, but Caro, you're the first to observe it. You see 3 death dozens that you don't recognize. Each of whom has a pair of ovular, almost leathery looking eggs held protectively and almost reverently gently in their jaws. And in the center is a death dozen that looks almost, the best word I can put to it is wizened. They have that kind of aged, not quite delicate, but like this sort of aged, like elderly look to them. And their gait is somewhat slow and cautious. But you see them kind of gaze at you curiously, Caro, and their eyes rake over the rest of the party before this sort of orbit of dragons starts to carefully take their place at the back of the caravan. A few of these smaller ones at the head kind of occasionally curiously sniffing at the cart or peeking at Lucian and Caleb sitting closest to the cart's mouth.
As one of them come like close to me, is it big enough to like where I could like maybe like put my hand out and see if it will like sniff me?
It's not a dog.
Make an animal handling
These
check.
things work. Okay. Not my greatest.
Also, like, how tall does the fog get?
The fog, you guys are currently in the little gravel like mountain area. So the fog is about it's maintaining just a kind of like all around you zone. And you know it's only going to get thicker once you get into the Stalker Forest. Why do you ask?
Oh, I forgot we were going through Stalker Forest. Because I was going to say I would fly with Ruby. But then I was like, oh, wait, no. Not again.
Yeah, not again.
Are you saying that Gil actually learned something?
Hey, progress.
Have to make the same.
On that animal handling, though, I got a 21.
21?
Yes.
Not your greatest, huh?
No.
So her courage would be a nat 20.
The creature kind of sniffs curiously at your hand and kind of sneezes and continues kind of jogging to keep pace. It seems neutral, friendly enough, but seems like it's not willing to lose focus on pets and scritches. It's a little too smart for that.
I'm gonna are you sitting next to me, Gil?
Well, about that.
Are you
Fine.
flying?
No. Gil's actually, he's going to be at the very back. He's going on foot. And he's going to be behind the Death Dragon pack.
Gil, could you come here, please?
And who's going to watch the back?
Just come here for a minute. Just a minute.
Okay. He comes.
Okay. I'm gonna reach out and I'm gonna wipe the dragon snot on him. The dragon sneezed on me.
Caleb is just gonna be like, was that the whole point for calling him over?
Yes.
Can I dodge it?
You cannot.
Now you have Dino sneeze on you.
Well,
Do I see any mud nearby?
There is the riverbank.
Can I grab a handful of mud
Caleb,
and
it's gonna
throw
look
it at
to
her?
Lucian and be like, if you tried that with me, I might actually cut your hand off.
I wouldn't do that to you anyways.
I want to throw a handful of mud at her. And then go back to where I was.
They're mud as we're in the middle of a fucking jungle.
Oh, like I said, there is the riverbank nearby. It's not super hard to get your hands on mud.
Yeah, we're in the middle of a jungle. There's literally mud everywhere, probably, because it probably rains a lot here.
Fair. Gil, make me an improvised weapon attack roll.
It's like, by their nature, jungles tend to be very wet.
So, what would that count as?
It's if you don't have proficiency in improvise, it's just your dexterity, no modifier.
So you gotta roll to hit. I swear to God, if he not once
Oh, I'm watching him.
Caleb might actually try to kill him.
Oh, that'd be fun to see. Do it.
Well, it says actions in combat. Improvise.
No, that doesn't count. Basically, unless you have a feat, you don't have proficiency in improvise. It just means you can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you either need the Tavern Brawler feat or very specific abilities to give yourself improvised proficiency.
So you said it was also which? You said it was dexterity?
Yeah, you had your dex because it's a ranged attack, but no, like, you don't have proficiency, so just your dexterity.
23.
You got a natural 20.
No, 18. Natural 18.
Oh.
You beam Lucian with a handful of mud with, well, it's not perfect accuracy. The splatter hits Lucian and only Lucian, and you quickly jog back to the back of the pack.
So, Matthew,
What's up?
just out of curiosity, would inspiration count as advantage towards sneak attack?
Yeah, I'd allow that.
Okay, just curious.
And you can see the Death Dozens almost immediately start, like, kind of muttering amongst themselves as Gil does this, almost like, and while Caro, your speak with animals by this point will have gone down, you don't need to understand them to know that they're immediately, like, wondering if this pack is going to start killing each other before they even make it halfway through the forest. I will say as a DM side note, I do find this trend very amusing that every so often you guys will be in a dangerous or, like, in-depth situation. The party will be like, we all need to do better. And then one thing goes wrong. One person slips even slightly. And everyone's immediately like, I'll cut your hand off. I'll literally murder you. Throwing mud at each other. Literal mudslinging.
Caleb was actually going to do that.
Well, at least I didn't throw shit at him.
It was dino snot. Get over it.
It's just mud.
It's just sneeze.
It's
just mud.
These are a
Over
bunch of, this is like, other than I think Neon and Caro, I'm pretty sure this party is like a bunch of nobles, so.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
even Caro's technically nobility. She's Blackthorn Squire.
So it's like, these aren't exactly people who like to get dirty.
Yeah. Lucian's gonna use some of her water skin to wash off the mud.
Yeah, washed off. That's fair.
Uses a day of water to wash it off.
It's fine. I can replenish it later.
With that, the trek across the Stalker Forest begins. It's already about mid-afternoon by the time you guys start, but you guys would remember that as long as you don't
Is Lee
stop.
still climbing in trees, or did he stop trying to get in trees once he entered the place full of fake trees?
Yeah, but at this point, he's just basically once the Death Dozens joined in, like, he just went in the cart, but he's kind of carefully, noticeably, this is the only time he sat in the cart rather than lead the group on foot, and he never takes his eyes off of the Death Dozens. Although you can see his ears twitch every so often as he listens to the surroundings. Whether it's trusting you guys to navigate or simply not being willing to turn his back to these things, you can't really tell. But he kind of leans against the very back of the cart that faces to Neon, and just runs his fingers down the blade, and finally says the first thing out like that's like clearly audible beyond his mumbles. I don't like this.
What, the death dozen dragons, or
No, the fact that pineapples grow in trees and not on ground plants. Yes, the death dozen dragons.
actually pineapples
like-
don't grow on trees.
Caleb is gonna be like, well, you can thank the frog for this.
The frog is using
It was their idea.
Oh, I have a list of all the nicknames. Currently
You
doing
guys
that.
don't need to keep being jerks all the time, you know.
Ooh! What do you mean? They're not being jerks.
I'm just saying it was
You're
your
constantly
idea.
talking about it. I get it. You guys don't like that I did this. I'm sorry, okay?
Oh no, I approve.
I was just saying whose idea it was.
Well, it gets kind of tiring, okay? That it's nothing but arguing all the time. I try to be happy and try to make it nice and good atmosphere, but it gets tiring.
Caleb was like, this is literally the first time I mentioned it since we discussed it.
Carol shakes her head.
I think Kero means just in general of all of us fighting all the time.
It's not exactly my fault.
Yes, we all have established that this is all my fault.
Oh boy. Going to get into this again.
No, because
that's
we
not.
don't have the fucking time for this, and I want to keep my eyes out so we can get through this swamp without dying.
Liv is silent and seems to have consciously or otherwise tuned out the rest of the cart and kind of hangs like leaning his head back to upside down glance at Morgan, and after a moment of staring, just as the party continues, hops to climb onto Morgan, and with the dexterity you've come to expect from him, manages to pretty deftly make his way onto Morgan's chassis, and sits next to you, Caro, and after a moment of silence, sorry.
It's okay. I understand why you had reason to not like it. You have had many run-ins with them, you know.
I've never seen someone that could talk back to him before.
It's a skill I acquired back in the day.
He's quiet for a moment, and after a pause, just gives a nod and... Sorry, I've learned a lot of things surviving out here on me onesie, and having a filter wasn't exactly one of those.
It's okay. I've learned a lot of things as well, and I should be more mindful of the people I travel with.
I'm gonna guess you've been traveling by your onesie for a while yourself?
Yeah, it's been a long time. I guess I forgot in my single-minded trial to find my friends again that you know, you kind of have to practice being with people.
I get that. I was just telling. He hesitates for a long moment before shaking his head, and I was just telling been there, done that. That if this works and you guys show my cousin the door, whether that's deaths or otherwise, I'm honestly not sure I can go back to the cities. It's been too long.
It's okay. I understand. It takes a while. Sometimes you just have to live outside of it for a bit and kind of take one step at a time.
He nods and after a moment gives a sigh and you guys have dealt with some of the worst this island has to offer. Sans for the Scalder, and of course the Beast. And you may not be the smartest, strongest, most coordinated, nicest, tastiest, handsomest, prettiest, wisest, charismaticest. He pauses and energizing, friendly, efficient.
Yeah,
We
I
kept
mean,
the party.
we're pretty average all around, to be honest.
But-
Speak for yourself.
But
True. It's more average.
if there's one thing that you've proved me wrong on so far, it's that you can survive. So, he hesitates for a long moment before, I'll follow your lead.
Caleb was going to say, honestly, so far surviving seems to be the best thing we've been able to do.
Well, can't be faulted for more than that. If you can survive, that makes you, well, better than most other people who are out here, eh? And he kind of gives you a somewhat awkward but well-meaning pat on the shoulder, Caro, before sliding off of Morgan and landing deftly back into the cart. And while he does continue to watch the Death Dozen Dragons, he does seem a little less actively hostile and more just a little wary.
Like them.
That's basically where Caleb's at. He's not sure about this idea.
Mm-hmm.
As far as he can see, it's at best they get a little bit of help for a little bit. At worst, they get into a big fight.
Yeah.
So, doesn't really pay out enough compared to what it potentially loses, in his opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if there was an army of these little things, maybe, but just like one pack, it's not going to make a huge difference.
During the trek,
Mhm.
can I count and see how many of them there are?
The Death Dozens?
Yeah.
I assume there's 12 of them.
Well, bear in mind that they usually hunt in packs of 12, but this is like their entire nest, like including the breeders and those who stay to guard the nest beyond just the active hunting party. In total, Gil, as you kind of from the back, which to your surprise, they actually seem responsive to you taking up the back. The little ones basically stay a bit closer. And you get the back unobstructed. Although they don't completely abandon you to watch the back by yourself, they seem to at the very least trust you to quite literally watch their back. And Gil, by your count, in total there appears to be somewhere in the ballpark of about 16, 17 of them, not counting the eggs.
It's not bad. And then I'd just like to keep an eye out for enemies.
Easy enough to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye out too.
All right. I guess the two.
Everybody's keeping an eye out.
Yeah, so I'm assuming everyone's watching, so that's what passive perception is for. You all trek across the Stalker Forest, following the river, and this
Where's
time...
the highest passive?
Probably me.
What's your passive?
18.
Yeah, he's got one more than Caleb. He got an extra passive somewhere along the line.
One more than me too.
So yeah, Zephyr. You all carefully monitor your temporary allies and the surrounding trees, quote unquote. To your surprise, however, the journey is actually pretty quiet. You see very few swamp stalkers in position to ambush, and overall, you make it to the point where you encountered them last time. You can still see the rotting form of the one you had slain over the cart, rapidly decomposing not far from the riverbed.
I'm gonna look to Leaf and be like, well, this is a lot less populated than last time.
Either that one, and he gestures to the body, is throwing him off the scent, or might have gotten their fill and headed back to the nest to feed the chicks.
Not going to complain.
He gives a wry smile and leans back. Keep your eyes open, but I reckon that bodies or their duties in the mountains are giving us something of a cloak. As long as we stay away from the ones that are here, we should be fine. And Liv and Caleb's suspicions surprisingly hold true. As the sun begins to set, you guys make it to the other side of the Stalker Forest without incident.
I hope that I never have to go back into that area again.
I'll say, Lucian, with your keen mind, you would know that even if you do everything, you should not have to, because if you successfully get all the keys, you'll be going via underground to Fortiman.
Yeah,
so you will not.
I'll
not
convey that to Caleb to comfort him. Don't worry. It's
We're going
Go
via
ahead.
underground. What did I say? We're going via underground.
That's
Mhm.
deeper
Yes.
into the Earth's crust. Terra's crust.
Lucian will.
Like, what are they calling it at this point in time?
Yeah, Terra or Ficterra, whichever is the speaker's preference, basically. But yeah, so Lucian conveys to Caleb that if you guys stay on your current track, you won't have to go through the forest again. The dragons, as you guys make it into the swampland and start cutting a path north to make your way towards Scalders River, which will divide the Death Dozen's nesting grounds that they hope to establish from everything else. You guys will need to set up camp as it's already nightfall, unless you just want to push through the night. But you have cleared Stalker Forest and are now well on your way to Zipper Swamp. You should arrive at the Temple of Rigor tomorrow afternoon.
If we were to keep pushing, how long would it take to get to their new nesting ground?
You don't know exactly where they hope to nest, but from what Caro conveyed to you, they will be parting ways from you to establish their nest once you hit Scalders River. and the trip to Scalders River, if you're to try and make it from here, would take you... Kara, one of your favorite terrains is swamp, yes?
Mm-hmm.
So with Caro if Caro is willing to guide you through the night, you could make it there tomorrow night.
I'm not doing that.
Let's leave.
Before Lucien goes to sleep, she wants to message Blacklight, actually.
All right. As you guys bunk down for the night, you are going to send a message to Blackthorn. What would you like to say?
Not Blackthorn, Blackmont.
Oh, Blackmont. Okay.
I'm going to say we were successful in the Temple of... Which one do we go through? Rigor? No.
Restraint.
You're
going to Rigor right now.
Sorry, Amanda had a brain fart.
That's all good.
Temple of Restraint. We have one key and are planning to get the rest. And that's the message.
Okay. There's a brief pause, but Aurora does respond to you. You have my sincerest thanks, all of you. Stay safe, and with luck, I will see you back in Hjarmen with both keys in tow.
Wait, how many keys are there?
4.
But remember, the third temple will require you going to the mountains, like right next to Hjarmen, so you'll likely be making a pit stop in town anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need to make a pit stop in town anyway.
What's
so.
up?
I said, nah, we don't need a pit stop. Let's just go.
Oh, I thought you were saying Matt.
Second thing I want to do, since it's pretty early on in the evening, I will... Will you stop? Now you know how I feel when you do something stupid.
That's stupid. It's just... Yeah.
I'm gonna send a message to Sundragon, just a small one. Since it's like, what time is it? Pretty early in the evening, right?
Yeah, at this point, since you guys are bunking down for bed, I'd say at this point probably like just getting close to midnight.
Well, yeah, like what's the exact time though?
Yeah, Luthien would know the exact time.
It's like 11:25.
Okay.
Power keen mind knows the exact time.
Power keen mind always knows what time it is. I will say, I'm very sorry about last time I messaged you. I realized it was very early. Hang on, I've got 5 more. I won't do it again.
You
have.
After about 30 seconds, you get a response. It's all good, Lucien. I've been busy lately anyway, so the distraction is welcome. Just as long as you're not waking me up, I'm good. Need to make sure I'm good to fist fight that airship if I need to.
Just makes me want to talk to her more now.
But, Lucien, as the sending comes to an end, the thing about sending is that the person receiving and sending both do not necessarily know when the message has been cut. And you would know that it's somewhat common for people to make a mistake of thinking they've finished the message and then they continue talking, only to not realize that a few extra words of their next statement was sent without their intention. And you imagine that that's what happened, as you hear a few extra words from Sun Dragon that are kind of whispered, more to her, almost as if more to herself than intended for you. Fist fight an airship. How stupid.
Okay. So I will say, I gotta think about what I gotta say because I feel like Lucy's. I want to say something stupid. You seemed like a pretty capable fighter back in Mercurial. I'm excited to see it firsthand. I got 5 more. Hang on, I got 5 more. I'm counting.
I love you so.
Oh, do for that.
Perfect 5 words.
And I'll be like,
It is. It's too early for that.
Just Lucian mutters to herself, God, she's so fucking hot.
Yeah, she like mutters to herself.
Please
She
step on me,
also mutters
queen.
to herself. She's gonna say, I'm really stupid. So dumb. Or I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I'll go with that.
As you kind of babble to yourself, you don't know what parts were sent and what parts weren't, but you do get a response. Yeah. Thanks, that means a lot, although I feel like you guys did a bit more than I did. Hopefully I can return the favor. Oh, I was winking. You can't see it, but I was winking.
Winky face emoji. Oh my gosh. Okay. Last message of the night. Last message.
She's using her pearl power.
Yeah, I will say, is it going to be plot relevant?
No.
Probably
Wait, what
not.
are they going to do?
They're just sending another sending spell, and we had discussed before everyone got here that basically to avoid like Lucian getting like 4 or 5 different NPC conversations every single night of travel, just any ones that aren't plot relevant, she can just skim what was said.
Think so. So it would just be like, basically, last message of the night. Hopefully we can see about that soon, kind of thing. In a roundabout, awkward way.
Yeah, which she agrees with equally awkwardly. It's the first time you've ever gotten the vibe that she's kind of flustered.
Lucian, you're a scoundrel.
I'll be happy with that.
All right. As you guys bunk down for the night, another day of rations, another day of water. Lucian, everyone's water skins are going to be running empty at this point. You can refill them if you wish.
I will do that.
All right. Everyone's water skins are topped back off. But day of rations for selves and animals.
Yeah, we might need to make a stop to get more rations.
Yeah, I need more. I almost need more rations for sure.
And the Death Dozens just basically establish a protective nest around the mothers carrying the eggs. And seem to give your guys' camp something of a wide berth, but are still within visible sight range of all of you. Soren and some of the other larger ones dig protective holes for the mothers to place the eggs in for the night, as they cover them to provide them with warmth. And as you guys eat and drink and prepare to bunk down, Lucian, as you complete your round of messages, your flustered embarrassment, and Neon, you're just kind of nonplussedness as you watch her basically have a completely one-sided conversation with her crush, from your perspective, I mean. The silence of the swamp is interrupted by Lucian's voice in the trees. So stupid.
I agree, Lucian of the Forest. Wait, Lucian of the Forest?
Oh, Lucian of the Forest. What is your wisdom?
I'll turn my head to Neon. Did I also hear my own voice?
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody
I'll kind of
heard
turn my head to Neon. Excuse me.
I make a hey Matt, using my big ol' ears, can I make a perception check to figure out where the voice came from?
Yep, and you do get advantage this time. As there's nothing interfering with the travel of sound here.
Wait, no, advantage.
And would this remind us of that one water creature that we saw the way here?
Well, you're not awake right now.
Yeah, you're not awake right now.
Oh.
Oh wait,
It's
everybody,
me and
wait,
Neon.
we're oh.
This is
Yeah, this is during
No.
Lucian's watch. That's usually when
I'm
she does
sorry,
her sendings.
I got completely lost there.
By the way, I rolled 2 16s, so that gives me 2 21s.
You can tell that it's coming from the swamp tree line just on the outskirts of camp. And you also notice that at the sound of Lucian's voice in the forest, the Death Dozen, who Caro knows as Soren, although I don't know if she's introduced him as such, actually perks his head up and kind of growls at the tree line a little bit and starts moving to stand up.
Yeah, I would like to shine those headlights of those big old headlights of mine at like, was I able to pick out a direction?
Yes, from your perspective,
Okay.
it is to the west, which would be to your left right now.
So so I would like to face Morrigan in that direction and light up that tree line before I literally light up the tree line.
As you light up the trees, you immediately see the scurrying of frightened creatures, except for one. A creature perks its head up. It almost looks like a Death Dozen dragon, but you notice two very distinct rounded head crests, and the teeth are parted with an unusual gap in the front teeth. And that appears to be the only distinguishing feature separating these from the Death Dozens that are accompanying you, or rather, that's what you think, as it stares your headlights down. A colorful, vibrant frill opens up on either side of its head, and it lets out a rattling.
Yeah, that sounds pretty aggressive, doesn't it, Matthew? I think that's pretty aggressive sounding.
Does sound pretty aggressive.
Cool. I'm gonna shoot it.
Make an attack roll.
What are you doing?
You misunderstand, Matthew. I need it to make a dex save.
Are you gonna use your flamethrower?
No.
Grenade
I use my grenade launcher.
I know it!
Oh no.
So what kind of saving throw do I need to make?
Dex save, gotta make 15 or above.
Okay.
And this is the part where it turns out, oh yeah, it wasn't being aggressive. It was you in its language was saying, "You look like a bunch of cool people."
Yeah, you want to be friends.
I want to be friends. I communicate entirely. I feed entirely off of hugs.
It does succeed the save.
Okay, cool. It's going to take half damage on this.
Yeah.
Then.
Yes, I'm aware.
Here, let me see how much it was. I believe it was 5d6. That's right.
Oh boy.
The sudden Lucian sees him get up and just like
5d6. Okay. And that is 20, so it's gonna take 10 damage from that.
Okay. Lucian, as you see this colorful creature hissing and roaring at Neon, you fire your grenade launcher, and it does not strike dead center. It actually strikes behind, over its head and behind it a little bit, but it makes the mistake of watching the projectile fly. So it's basically staring directly at the blast when it happens, and it falls to the ground, not dead, but you can hear it crying out and yelping as shrapnel and splinters of tree bark pierce into its left side. And as all of you are woken up by the explosion and your eyes have to kind of adjust to Neon's headlights, you can see the creature kind of wobbly stand back up and kind of flick its head in what almost would be irritation. And Neon, you see this black substance just splatter against Neon's windshield before the creature, letting out this starts to wobble weakly back into the jungle. Or at least that's what it had hoped to do, as it suddenly gives a final as it gets dragged into the undergrowth. And you all, as you're waking up and your eyes are adjusting, hear a sickening before Soren raises his head above the brush with blood trailing from his teeth.
I would like to poke my hand out one of the open viewports and just put out a thumbs up at him.
Soren kind of shakes their head, almost in a gesture reminiscent of the thing Garrow does whenever they're just brushing off compliments, and moves its head back down. And as you all kind of sit up, there appears to be no other predators, as Soren, seeming completely calm now, drags this dragon to his pack, and giving a final heave to drop it right in front of the nesting mothers, lays back down and curls his tail around himself.
Also, Austin, I would like to say...
Cute.
Yeah, oh, believe me, I definitely heard it, Austin.
Oh, was it loud?
It scared the crap out of me. I jumped out of my skin the moment.
What happened?
I may have used one of my soundboards as explosions. I was like,
oh, that's what that was.
Yeah, like, it was like a perfect moment.
I'm gonna be real. I was so invested in the visuals that I genuinely did not process that someone had played a sound. I was just like, yeah, an explosion. That's what that sounds like. So I was so lost in my own imagination.
Like, this is a perfect moment to actually use this.
It was
Neon and Lucian. Cool. Everyone's awake at this point, but there appears to be no further predators, and the Death Dozen seem completely unconcerned now with the immediate threat dealt with.
Threat eliminated.
Oh. Now that you're up, you can take your turn.
Okay.
Oh, talk about a wake-up call.
Oh, forgive me. Next time I'll let it eat you while you sleep.
I'm not saying I'm not grateful. I'm just saying it was loud. Believe me, you do not want to get eaten by these things. They cut you open and eat you while you're still alive and paralyzed.
Sounds fun.
I agree.
Yeah,
I'm trying to sleep.
Sorry. They cut you open and eat you while you're still alive and paralyzed.
Says it.
Sounds like a good way to spend a weekend.
It's not going to last you the whole weekend. It'll last you like 12 hours tops.
That's all I need.
I'm gonna go to sleep.
Whether the creatures have been truly scared off, or they are simply not willing to chance a direct attack again, Gil and Zephyr, your watch passes without incident. And because you were able to sleep undisturbed, other than that brief instantaneous wake up, you all do get a long rest. The trip through the Zipper Swamp as you make your way to Scalders River goes relatively quietly. The Death Dozens stay in line, occasionally wander off in the night to hunt, but otherwise seem relaxed for the most part. You don't know whether it's personal or not, but you do notice that every so often in the night when they hunt, those of you keeping watch will see them drag back one of these particular frilled dragons as food. Whether they're hunting them specifically or it just happens to be what they stumble across, you don't know. You guys do glimpse a few dragons occasionally, although they do seem to be giving you guys something of a wide berth, whether that's due to your sheer numbers or the escort you're providing is you can't really tell. But Zephyr, you see a few of those fat flying ones. There actually appears to be a lot of them in this area. This is likely where they nest. And they occasionally swoop low over the cart, although they don't seem hostile, and Caleb, you and Lucian notice with some gratitude that they actually appear to be eating the mosquitoes that are making a buffet out of all of you, but anytime the numbers get a little too much, they seem intent. You notice that you get sort of built up a little flock that just kind of follows you guys from the tree lines to eat the mosquitoes that come after you, and occasionally, Kara, whenever you start grabbing out to eat a few of the bugs yourself, they kind of compete with you over them, but it's no more than an agitated squawk at you before flying off.
Matthew, quick question.
What's up?
Would one of the little ones let me hold it and just kind of like move it to like so it can eat the bugs that are like eating me?
Make me an animal handling check with disadvantage.
I knew you were gonna fucking say that shit.
Sorry. I mean, it's a wild animal. It doesn't know you. It's like trying to grab a seagull. Have you ever tried to grab a seagull? Even when you're feeding it?
Yes. Okay, so I got a natural 20 on my first one, so fuck you. And the other one was a natural 15 plus 4, so 19.
You are not able to get a grab. Like, anytime you, like, so much as move towards one, it flies off with a... but you do feel a weight press down on your head. And Caleb, Zephyr, Gil, Kero, like, all of you in the cart, and Neon, you can, like, look back if you want. Note with some amusement that one has perched on Lucian's head and is just snacking on any mosquitoes that dart down to get a bite on her.
So, how long does it stay there?
It pretty much stays until someone tries to grab at it, and then it flies off.
So I'm not going to grab at it or anything. I wouldn't want to see if it shits on her.
It's
a big bird on your head.
Some shit, you know that?
It stays there for about 20 minutes, but while it does shake itself off a little bit, which causes some just kind of dander and shedded feathers to fall on you, Lucian, it does take off without making any other mark on you, although your hair is now messed up and covered in small microfibric feathers.
Good enough.
Good
The
to
only
know my
other-
hair is so messy, instead they can make a nest out of it.
The only other immediate dragon presence you notice during these few days of trek is Caleb. You kind of glancing into the jungle, see another one of the crested dragons, just kind of idly following the cart, and as it sees you looking at it, kind of tilts its head and hello.
Oh.
Does Caleb recognize this voice?
No, you can understand it, but you don't recognize the voice.
Caleb's just like, oh, good. Another
Do I
talking
hear it?
one.
Yeah, all of you can hear it. Just Caleb spots it first.
Lucian will put a hand on Caleb's shoulder. Just ignore it.
Is somebody there?
How old does this voice sound?
You don't know what species it is. You do recognize it as a Yavic accent. It, from the sounds of it, was likely not much older than Caleb, maybe a little bit younger.
So pretty much a
It's just
child.
gonna look in its direction like, you do realize we see you.
Realize we see you.
Don't give it more words, Caleb.
Words, Caleb.
Caleb tried to take a shot at it.
Sure, roll for it.
And I would have thrown my javelin too.
I was like, nah.
Can we not go one fucking day?
It ate a child.
I hear ya.
Wow.
Or it mimicked one.
It's mimicking one. It mimicked me, and I'm still alive as far as I know.
No, you're dead. This is an
Well-
illusion. You've gone to hell.
Anyone who wants to attack it,
Well,
make
that
a roll.
explains a lot.
I'm trying to find my D20 because it's
Um,
disappeared from my. Oh,
attack.
there it is.
Well, attack what? I'm freaking.
It's like a
getting
flying
some news.
thing.
Dilophosaurus is just kind of idly following the party and mimicking them. So Caleb and Gil are both just going to take shots at it.
Found it.
24.
All right.
14.
All right. And Caleb, what are you shooting with?
The laser rifle.
All right.
Well, this attack. Wait, does tie goes to defender or attacker?
If you meet it, you beat it. So if it ties, it goes to.
So this would hit. Well, if Caleb was shooting at himself, this would hit. If somebody wanted to shoot themselves, would you make them roll their DC?
No, because at that point it would be an auto fail if you were trying to, because you would be wanting to get hit.
Yeah.
Gil, you chuck your javelin. Caleb, you fire your shot. The javelin does land, but in the creature's flailing panic, your laser just barely misses it, Caleb.
Is
Gil,
it
go.
AC 15?
Yes, exactly.
I like how Caleb has less AC than the freaking tiny little lizard.
Gil, go ahead and roll damage if you want.
That
Caleb
is
is
10
less
piercing.
resistant.
One more time, sorry.
10 piercing.
Thank you. Your javelin strikes true, and it kind of flails and panics and uses its jaw to kind of weakly and panically pull the javelin free before attempting to scuttle off in a panic. But it does not make it far as one of Soren's siblings leap from the foliage and pin it to the ground, and you all, for the most part, turn your head away from what is no doubt another grisly hunt.
Caleb was like, you think those little things would learn?
In the very far distance of the jungle, Caleb, you can almost hear an echo. Would learn.
It's like they only learned the last two phrases.
Quick, I retrieved my javelin.
All right, easy enough to do.
Well, they're certainly
Overall-
getting a lot of easy kills.
Overall, the next 2 days are uneventful for the most part. Other than those encounters, the only notable thing that happens is you all start to notice the deeper into the swamp you get. While you don't see any more of these crested dragons, other than the ones the Death Dozens bring back as prey, you do almost, the further you get into the swamp, start to almost constantly hear them, almost like they're chattering to each other in these gruesome mimicked phrases they've learned. Caro, as like all of you are, as you're leading the group through the swamp as quickly as possible, you can hear almost entire conversations in the unseen jungle of these creatures just talking to each other. Don't open your eyes! The poison, it hurts! I can't feel my eyes! What's this in my hand?
Well,
Please,
that's
make it
strange.
stop.
Creepy.
Now Gil just wants to go on a massacre.
Gil?
Caleb is just gonna look
Hey.
to Leaf and be like, "It seems like a lot of idiots walk into this forest."
Well, if you're this far away from civilization, you either have somewhere you're trying to get to, or you have somewhere you're trying to get away from. Either way, people this far in would be desperate for some kind of companionship. Gotta admit, the mimicry's decently convincing, at least. And Caleb, you can hear a voice in almost as if it's coming from behind a nearby tree pipe up. I'll help you! Follow my voice!
You
It seems like if people are down here, it's just probably in the best interest of 90% of them to just stay in the cities.
Aye. There's a reason that if you don't got somewhere specific you're trying to go, you just avoid the jungles altogether. Admittedly, if these things don't take you by surprise, they're actually pretty harmless. They're weak, not super bright. If it wasn't for the mimicry, honestly, they'd probably only be a threat to the stupid. It's the poison you got to watch out for. But and he kind of dinks the glasses that I don't know if you're wearing them, but I do believe you have them in your possession. He kind of dinks against the glasses. Little bit of protection, and you're basically completely safe.
Wonder if their poison has any uses.
Maybe.
probably.
Do you know what its effects are?
He nods and leans towards you, Gil. Let's say you got a face. Let's say that they managed to get a hit on you, and to their credit, they're pretty good shots. Gets into your eyes, right? And it starts to dissolve you. Your eyes start to melt away, and then once you're completely blind, it gets into your nervous system, and he like traces a finger down to your heart, Gil. Once it reaches your heart, he snaps his fingers. You freeze. You can't move no matter how much you want to. And he scratches across your stomach. They cut you open and start to feast while you're still alive and unable to even scream.
What do you think would happen if it got a little bit more of a direct route into the blood? Like if it was on a weapon?
It wouldn't have the blinding, but I imagine the paralysis would still kick in.
Question,
Be
DM. Is there still some of the black goo on Neon's shield?
Neon, have you wiped it off?
Nope.
There indeed still is. It's dried out a bit by this point, but it's still present.
I would like to take one of my vials that I got and try to scoop up some in a vial.
Kevin's also gonna ask you, do you know where their like poison gland is? Or wherever they store it in their body?
Oh, I've never exactly cut one open to check, but they got that gap in their front teeth. That's where it comes out. So, guessing it's somewhere up in the top of the head. But I'm no plantologist, dragonologist, poisonologist.
Paleontologist?
Caleb is gonna be like, oh.
Don't be making up words, mage.
Is gonna be like, well, maybe I should see if I can't get a hold of one next time we see one.
Oh, that would be great, and I could bottle up some more.
By all means, go for it. Like I said, they're not particularly bright. They do hunt in packs, but they're not like the Death Dozens, and he nods towards Soren and his pack. You get a hold of one, the rest are probably just going to run for it. Their jaws are weak, so if you want to try and get a hold of one... You ever wrestled with a gator?
I just was going to
Yeah,
shoot it
so
and
much.
then grab it once it was dead.
Oh, yeah, that works. I mean, if you want to be that way about it. Yeah, that works, whatever.
If you want me, dickhead.
Instead of trying to wrestle with a living creature.
He kind of like, more like playfully than anything, kind of does the like, me kind of facial expression.
So am I able to get some of the goo in my vial?
Yeah, it's dried out and a little crusty by this point, but you are able to get some of it.
Maybe just
Go on.
mix in a little bit of water.
Yeah. I'm gonna mix in some water, and then, hey Gil,
Yes.
Do you
Wait.
do you want to put this like do your gauntlets have like if you want to like punch people or danger? Do you want this?
I think a weapon that's going to stab or pierce someone is probably a better reciprocal.
Well, doesn't the gauntlets have like sharp things on the knuckles?
Well, yeah, but they're plasma, so they would just melt the poison.
True.
Why don't you ask Caro, Zeph, or Caleb?
Well, Caro's got her own poison, but Caro, do you want this?
Oh, the poison.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I will give it to Caro.
Caro, you may add a vial of Dilophosaurus venom to your inventory.
Not going to be considered watered down because they had to mix in some water.
I didn't say what quality, I just said that they have some.
No, they're item qualities in D&D.
Caleb.
Not that I know of, at least not in 5th edition.
Also, yes.
If you do manage to get one of those dragons, do you think I could fill up another vial? For experimentation reasons.
I guess I could
I
see
am
how
my father's
much.
daughter.
I guess I could see how much poison they have in them.
Okay, that's fair.
All right.
My sister, she's really good with poisons.
Yeah, I've been meaning. I want to pick her brain when we go there, and kind of maybe like see if she can teach me a few things. Because I've been reading a lot about alchemy and stuff, and there's a few questions that I have. I'm sure that she could probably answer them.
Do like a lot of alchemy?
Technically chemistry, but yes.
And then does Caleb know any stories of some crazy poison some are made?
Make me a history check.
Let's see what we get. Okay, what do I get? History 5. That's going to be a 19 in total.
You know that she's made quite a few interesting things in the past. What's up?
His headphone died. Here.
While she typically preferred just typical poisons and such, like nothing particularly special, she would occasionally make special things in her free time. You know that she once engineered a dye that could basically be, it almost had like a Play-Doh-esque texture that could be engineered into a shape of her choice, and depending on the shape, it would take on a different property. For instance, if she was to form red dye of this mixture into, for instance, a shape of a steak, it would actually become edible safely.
Because we spent a lot of time with her one being a guinea pig a lot.
Yeah, it was relatively safe. She would only use the dangerous stuff on herself or prisoners. But yeah, occasionally when she was pretty confident that it was safe, she would have you test some things for her. I'll say another fun one that you recall, although she didn't she tested this one on you. It didn't really affect you that much. It just gave you kind of a weight in your stomach, almost like you ate something heavy. But she showed experiments she had done on local ahuls, which are basically bats, where if they took this potion, they could not fly. They became too heavy.
Yes, Caleb will it's going to tell the story of the dying.
Yeah, so Caleb regales you all with tales of some of Summer's more ambitious experiments as a chemist. Transmogrifying or transmutation dye, grounding potions, things of that nature, various mutagens. 2 days pass as you guys trek through the swamp. But by the second night, you guys have arrived at the river. And as you guys are setting up camp, knowing that you will arrive at the temple tomorrow, the Death Dozens part ways. Kero, you all are awake for this. Just you're about to go down for camp. You watch as the Death Dozens actually do exchange relatively affectionate, even if it's in their own ways, farewells with each other. Soren gives an affectionate bump of the head to the elderly-looking female, who returns the gesture in kind. And the little ones, a good chunk of the larger ones, and the nesting mothers with eggs in tow, give all of you a look. And the elderly looking Death Dozen, all of you could swear she gives a slow blink and kind of nods at all of you before following her pack into the Fury Forest, which is just to your north now.
Blinking with their age-sunken eyes.
Yeah.
Because I actually looked it up. It's apparently it's like a common thing with reptiles. When they get old, their eyes kind of sink in.
Yeah. And the pack is now much shrunken from the 15 that had been with you to 6. The ones that you all recognize as the ones that had attacked you at the behest of their alpha. Soren and the hunting party of this nest.
Is it like will their group be okay without their main fighters, especially in a new area?
They are going there to hide. There should be enough brush for them to hide in.
Kero, Soren kind of gives a low, less of a clearing of the throat and more of like a low bark. And as you turn your attention back to him,
Just thought of something that he wanted to check out of curiosity.
Go for it.
Do the fighters seem to be like just a general mix, or is it like one particular, one particular gender does the fighting and another does the protecting?
Make me a nature check, and I'll give you advantage since you've been traveling with them for a while. It's just to see if you can identify which ones are males and which ones are females.
Okay. Caleb just had that curious thought.
No, that's fair. It's a fair question.
17.
While you didn't exactly check or ask, you do start to make some reasonable deductions. It appears that, for understandable reasons, the pack places a great priority on the safety of the females, as they are, of course, the nesters. However, with that being said, you do notice that there do appear to be some females among the hunting party. By your best judgment, it appears that the pack of 6 that are now accompanying you appears to consist of 3 males and 3 females.
Oh, it's almost like a perfect mix.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's just gonna be like interesting.
Yeah, Kero, I believe, did mention offhandedly that these are mostly Soren's siblings, so you imagine they were put in the hunting party since they would not be incredibly helpful to breeding anyway.
Yeah.
And Kero, Soren, while you cannot understand him at the moment, gives you a long look, almost kind of trying to get a read on you, but finally gives a slow blink and an almost imperceptible nod before returning to where the pack had been sleeping, their numbers now greatly reduced. And while his siblings do appear concerned, they seem a little less comfortable with their much reduced numbers, and they kind of chitter and chirp amongst themselves. They do appear like they will stick around for the time being.
Angie dog.
Yeah, Angie dog. Dog aggro.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's all
Sorry, we're outside and he's barking at the deer.
You guys bunk down for another night. So at this point, it's been 2 days. So 2 days of rations, 2 days from your water skins.
Well, damn, 2
And
days.
your watches surprisingly pass without incident. The only thing that disturbs you is occasionally the Death Dozens kind of chirping and chittering amongst themselves, seeming, again, a little anxious and uncomfortable without the rest of their pack, but Storin seems to be keeping them in line, if nothing else, intent on
Sleep, or
keeping
do they
his word.
just sleep very little at a time? So they sleep very little at a time?
It seems like it, like as far as you've observed, it seems like they either take it in shifts, or all of them will essentially take sporadic naps, but then wake back up, like keep watch for a little bit, and then go back to napping. Although whether that's natural for them or simply a result of their concern about being in unfamiliar surroundings and in potential danger, you're not sure.
Fair enough.
But this day passes without incident, and as the sun begins to rise, you all awake. Lynn, for his part, actually seems relatively more comfortable now, whether that's just because the Death Dozen Dragon count has been reduced, or simply, like, having gotten used to their presence. He hops off of the cart and gives you a nod, Neon, with Caro atop. All right, we're getting close. It's just on the other side of the river. Come on.
I follow.
I will also follow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go.
The river is a little on the wide side, but you guys have crossed rivers before, and it's not exactly... This one's not big enough to hide any surprise predators, so you guys cross the bubbling Scalders River, and through the
Is
tree
it
line...
hot?
It's a little warm, but more because it's tropical than actually boiling. You're actually not sure why they call it Scalders Lake. And as you guys cross the river, you all can actually occasionally get glimpses of Scalders Lake, because you guys have not yet traveled close enough to it to get a good look at it. You can see a wide expanse of actually beautiful water. It's this beautiful tropical blue. The waters are clean and unimpeded. And while you don't see a whole lot in the way of fish from this distance, you have to imagine the lake is bustling with life. You can see the occasional flying dragon, similar to Ruby, gliding over it, occasionally diving down before re-emerging. But overall, it is quiet. Or at the very least, it is for a time. As you guys start to make your way closer, following Liv's direction to make your way into the forest, or rather into the swamp, you can hear loud bellows, which are very intimidating and sound like they're coming from something very loud. This... And the whole ground around you rumbles and shakes. But Liv holds up a hand and just, nothing to worry about. Predators don't typically come this close to the lake. Long as we don't disturb them, we should be fine. Just, I don't recommend throwing things at them, okay?
Squint that gill
What about any
immediately.
predators that live in the lake?
He turns to you, Caleb, and gives a wide smile. Like I said, predators don't like going too close to it. There's competition.
I remember seeing some that were swimming in the rivers, so I assume they'd also swim in the lake.
Oh, lake's the only thing big enough to hold it.
What is it?
They call it the Scalda. It's what the lake's named after. If you believe that sort of thing, they say it got trapped in there as a baby. Apparently, its kind normally lives out in the unsunned sea, but guess it traveled downriver when it was a baby and got stuck. So it just preys on dragons that get too close to the shore, or any fool stupid enough to try fishing in it.
Is it a
They've
turtle dragon? Is it a turtle
They've never
dragon?
tried to catch this thing.
What was that dragon too?
I said they never tried to catch this thing.
It's too big. Wouldn't have anywhere to put it.
No, I mean like
What if
guards
it
or
misses its
something
home?
wanting to get rid of it.
Yeah, people have tried, but the Saurians saw it as a beautiful thing, and so long as they stayed out of its way, it stayed out of theirs, so they left it there. And since my people showed up, we haven't had a lot of luck. We lost a few ships trying and decided it was better to just keep people away from the water than it was to lose more soldiers trying to kill it.
So not a good place for a swim.
Would not recommend it. And as you guys clear a tree line, you find yourself beholding something that's, for all the aggressive dragons you've encountered, is actually rather beautiful. As you start crossing Scalders River, you find that it's actually surrounded by dragons, even some of the crested ones you recognize. But even though there is less hostile ones, nothing appears to be attacking each other or being directly hostile in any overt way. You see small relatively speaking, quadrupedal dragons, similar in build to the three-horned ones you would see in the desert, but they lack the horns or the distinct head crest, almost having the physique of something like an iguana is the best way I can describe it.
Iguanodon?
Yes. And Caleb, you look up in, I would imagine, relatively sincere amazement as you see a massive dragon with a neck that towers it up. You have to crane your neck just to be able to look up and see it all the way. And it leans its mighty neck down to start drinking, and its head alone is nearly the size of the entire cart. But while its eye does glance at you, it seems unperturbed. And Lucian, as it leans its now so sloshing wet head out of the water to watch the cart pass, it kind of stares as all of you pass and gives a
Caleb's gonna be like, that one
Let
must
him make
eat
the noise
very
back
big
to
things.
It's beautiful.
Oh, this is one of the few places I don't hate. And you'd be right about that, Dragon 2. They say that this thing needs to eat constantly, or else it goes hungry. But any gestures, this one's clearly got it figured out. Whether it's in response to what Liv's saying or not, you don't know, but it kind of shakes its head and turns its head back towards the water and sneezes before continuing to drink.
Ew. Dinosaurs. What is it
Hey.
with all your dinosaurs sneezing? Do they have, like, cold?
Well, everything sneezes.
Caleb is gonna be like, it's almost like they have some kind of truce around the water.
Nothing can drink from the lake without getting the Scalders' attention, but everything's got a drink, and this is the best source of water for miles. So there's an understanding that you attack while someone's drinking, you're not allowed to drink anymore. And you either take your chances with the Scalder, or you dehydrate.
I can't imagine.
So it could be possibly safe to go over there.
Aye, the river's safe, but doesn't mean that you should get too cozy. These are still animals. You intrude a bit too much on their space, they're gonna take that as a sign of aggression.
I can't imagine the effect on wildlife those really big ones have with how much they must need to eat.
They typically just patrol around up in this region, occasionally make their way to the Hummin Highlands. They keep themselves circling around the lake. They migrate. That way they don't eat everything down to the bark and leave everything else for dead. Besides, they're usually eating the stuff no one else can reach anyway.
Down to the bark? Did they eat plants?
Aye.
Those big things that can live off of plants?
Yep. Completely
Caleb, have
harmless.
you ever seen meat eats meat? Come on. It's possible.
Caleb is just gonna like look to Lucien, look to the big thing, and then it's gonna be like he's like gonna hold his fingers like to show like size comparison. You compared to them is like his whenever he says her, he has like his fingers, and then whenever he's talking about them, he just like stretches his arms out. They're a lot bigger than you.
And besides, why do you think you're so cranky all the time? You need me.
I'm cranky all the time because I'm traveling with you.
Hey, that's like I couldn't imagine something that big just eating leaves all day.
Well, not like they got anything better to do. Caro, you note that you can actually see a few of the shelled dragons with the club tails that you had seen on the way in, dipping its small turtle-like head into the water. And as you pass it by, Neon, it kind of tilts its head at Morrigan and like kind of raises itself up onto its haunches and gives a as Morrigan passes by and kind of waves its club tail over itself, almost like it thinks Morrigan's coming to aggravate it, and it's like, hey, get away from me. But as you pass by, it watches you go before lowering with a back onto its forelegs and continuing to drink. And Gil, you note with some interest a dragon you haven't seen before, nestled between two much larger dragons with very large singular head crests that stretch back nearly to their back. Nestled in between them, you see very small ones, not much bigger than the smallest of the death dozens. Its feathers are almost completely black, although there is like tidbits of orange around the face, with a little streak of blue running down their back. And what gets your attention is their eyes. Their eyes look like Death Dozen Dragon eyes, but they bulge disproportionately in their skulls. And you don't see them blink super often. They look around almost seeming completely in a daze, but they watch Morrigan and the cart pass by with a much more obvious interest than the rest of the dragons. Whereas the rest of the dragons seem to interpret it as simply a threat. And Zephyr, you notice this too. You notice they're watching, and their bulged out eyes kind of trace Morrigan in the cart, almost thinking, which you don't like it when these things think.
Does Caleb notice the bulgy eyes?
Yeah.
Alright, I think Gil's gonna do what Caleb was gonna do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Liff, how smart are these things?
Which ones?
The one with the big bulgy eyes.
The big eyed.
And the beautiful feathers.
He turns his head, and Gil, you notice, you and Zephyr, all of you see this, but you two are the first to notice it. When Gil says that, one of them does an almost like wave of the claw, almost as if like a "oh stop" kind of gesture, which is comedic at first until you realize it understood what you said.
What are the bulgy eyes ones?
He turns his head to look at them and frowns. Being honest with you, I don't know. Nobody's ever encountered them and lived to tell about it. We don't know much. They seem pretty harmless.
Well, let's not.
Except for the fact that
Gil. I see you grinning over there. Leave it.
Hey, Caleb was like, well, apparently they're not, considering no one has ever seen one and lived.
Well, just because they'd never seen one and lived, could have been that someone saw them and then something else killed them. But I'm not stupid. I've watched them. They seem like they mostly eat eggs and such. I've never seen them actively eat something before. Mostly just scavenge on whatever they can find.
They seem to be
Leave
quite.
it till.
Seems like they're a little bit smart,
Aye,
like the Death Dozens.
aye. I noticed that too. Most of these creatures, even the Death Dozens, no offense, and he calls back to the raptors, but if I had to guess, I'd say these things are smarter. Almost like people smart. Because, see, even the Death Dozens work on instinct, right? You leave a scent trail, you work off of pheromones and instinct. But these things, whenever they make those weird sounds to each other, it's almost like they're talking differently than how the Death Dozens do it. The clapjaws, they just mimic what voices sound like. I don't think they actually understand what they're saying. And the Death Dozens can talk to each other, but a lot of it's instinct and pheromones and scents and stuff and such. These things don't have a name, but yeah, let's watch our backs. I don't like the way that ties us up.
Big brain.
I will say, for those of you at home who haven't put it together, while Liv is telling the truth that the Saurians and Ergosians do not have a name for this particular dragon, we in real life would know this as a Trudon.
I knew it was a Trudon.
I don't even know what that is.
Stay the fuck away from me. Stay away.
Trudon?
Trudon.
I don't know what a Trudon is at the beginning.
So,
Leave it, Gil.
what is that exactly like? What are they?
Qua, would you like to take it?
So they're tiny little dinosaurs, for one, but they're theorized to be incredibly intelligent, and have some use of their little claws, hands. Not as dexterous as, like apes would be with their hands, but for a dinosaur, pretty above the cut.
Yeah, this is going full on into like folklore and mythology and like conspiracy, but there are conspiracy theories that if the meteor hadn't wiped the dinosaurs out, Trudons could have evolved to become like people. Because they already had the evolution to potentially get opposable thumbs, and they were incredibly smart.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so
Leave it.
Its brain is proportionally larger than those found in living reptiles today.
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to live it.
These aren't the kind that you would want to try to make a pet. They will make you the pet.
Yeah, they say like the most dangerous animals are the ones that are basically the closer an animal's intelligence is to you, the more dangerous it is.
Yeah.
And they tend to become more predictable or more unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you described them, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And then you were talking about their intelligence, I was like, wait.
Wait a minute.
So what is Gil doing?
Yeah, Gil, you gonna do anything? Speak now or hold your peace. And I will say, all of you notice this, you too, Gil, that Gil, as you kind of fret over what to do, all of them have stopped drinking and turned their attention to you. And one of them gives a wide, toothy smile and tilts its head at you and makes an adorable sounding.
Damn it.
Taro narrows her eyes.
I feel like he should be rolled. I feel like he should make a roll to be charmed.
Yeah,
Like they're doing
I
a
would have
charm
to make a
spell
roll
over
on
here.
this one. I think that's the only way that I could actually fight on this.
That's a player.
To see if I'm charmed by their cuteness.
Gil, I will literally cast Hold Person on you.
Well, let's see.
Can I look to the Velociraptors and see what they're like? See if they're looking at them or anything.
You see they are staring at the Trudons and have not taken their eyes off of them. And you can see Soren is growling.
He's gonna look at Kara and be like, maybe you should ask their friends what their experience of those things are.
Hero nods. She'll cast Speak with Animals.
Yo, where are you going?
So I rolled an 11. Like, that's very middle ground.
It's up to you.
And we should
And,
let Caro do their thing while you think about it.
Yeah, so Kara, you cast Speak with Animals.
Soren, what are those things?
They give a low growl, and parasites.
Let's see.
They steal their eggs a lot.
Did they steal from you? From your kind?
They come in the night, eat eggs where they find them, and replace them.
Oh.
Oh yeah, that whole theory about replacing eggs.
Yeah, like the cuckoo bird.
It's gonna be like.
Yeah, I'll
Do
relay
they-
this information, by the way.
I
It's
will
gonna be
literally
like,
cast
do
hold
they work
person
in
on you. You
groups
can't
or
do
are
it.
they just lone
leave it.
individuals?
I mean, let's go back.
I know, but I'm having to think. I have Gil here.
Yeah,
I know.
okay.
I
If it's
hear
in
you,
Gil-
but I am warning you. I am warning you now. If Gil decides to do something stupid, Lucian's hand will be forced.
Well,
Mm.
yeah, I'd
How
say
dangerous
shut
are
out that
they?
idea, or shut out the warning, and just be like, "Hey, Gil's gonna be stupid."
And
yeah,
what, Kara?
like
How
Go ahead,
dangerous
Carol.
are they?
I'm sorry, one more time,
Oh,
Kara.
no, it's okay. How dangerous are they?
Soren kind of flicks his head and they are small and weak, but they hide and weaken us with poison.
I see.
Has Carol relayed this?
Yeah, I'll be relaying this information.
Alright.
Gil?
Caleb's going to be like, hey, you could ask.
Well, he
Oh, fuck, I
relayed the
just
fact
forgot.
that they put one of their so they replaced the eggs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not against abandoning their own with others.
Should try to get
Yeah,
one.
they
I don't think that we have enough information on that, Gil. Also, please do not do something stupid, or I will have to hold you.
I was just going to ask Kara to ask him a simple
I don't
question.
think it's abandoning so much as it's easier for others to take care of their babies since they
Not
scavenge.
abandoned.
Yes. Plus their own probably.
The nest becomes theirs.
Yeah. Oof.
Caleb's going to.
It is not abandonment, it's conquest.
As soon as he says conquest, Gil's like, nope, that's too much about my dad. Let's go.
Caleb's going to ask.
That's what does it for you?
Yeah, Caleb, go ahead.
He's going to ask Carol if they can ask. Why can't they just take the nests back?
Well, their
If they're
babies are
bigger
gone.
and stronger.
There's no point.
Oh,
wait.
okay.
Yes, the babies will be gone. They don't have anything left.
I heard.
The mothers are dead.
When will the crazy train stop?
Yes.
Well, she's on a steroid.
So are they better at hiding than even the death dozen dragons?
Steroids tend to make your body go crazy for a while.
It sounds like it. Unfortunately.
And
they are smaller.
Caleb,
after all.
since
You're feeling your weed.
Caleb, I'll say since you've taken the time to spot which of the pack is male, which of the pack is female, you notice that as you guys start crossing the river, the males bodily block the females from being close to the Trudons. And Gil, as you say, oh, too much like my dad, and prepare to dismiss, the one that had squeaked at you starts like toddling towards you, crawling on all fours and smiling sweetly at you.
I understand what it's saying. If anything.
Gil,
They
Gil,
don't seem to be very afraid of the death
Yeah.
dozen dragon.
Do you remember what happened down in the caverns when you saw those cute little lizard things and you decided to, hey, I want to be friends with you, and then they all attacked us at once? Do you remember that?
It was just fear.
Gil.
And Caro, you do understand what the Trudon is saying as it's crawling towards Gil. You hear this awful spine-tingling voice that chills your spine. Closer, closer.
Oh my.
Arrows.
What is that? Why do you have to make it sound like an Edgar beast?
It's not. Totally different though.
How close does it get? And does she
we'll
relay
croak
what it
deeply
says?
in distress.
So it sounds like a no, exactly.
Like, does she
Gil.
relay what it's saying?
Not that, no. She
Gil,
just
it-
seems distressed.
It continues to crawl towards you, not getting closer to the cart as its eyes kind of flick towards the death dozens, but it starts to kind of orbit the cart, keeping its eyes on you, and it continues to. But Carol, you can understand it. Don't you want to be friends?
This thing does not sound like a friend.
No, it doesn't.
So I'm going to pull out my endless decanter of water and
You just spray it back.
I'm gonna do like I'm not gonna do geyser because I mean I don't want too much. I'm just gonna do fountain, so just 5 gallons of water will pour out. I'm gonna try to like shoot away.
Like a
As
spray
you,
bottle.
yeah, as you effectively introduce this dinosaur to the concept of a spray bottle, it kind of shakes its head and gives a slow nod to you, Zephyr, and looks to you, Gil, and gives a wide smile. But Carol, you can understand it. I'll be back. Our children need a mother. As it slowly crawls away back towards its comrades.
I mean, Gil wants one, so.
What Caleb's
Yeah,
thinking
a
about
mother
it,
that
he's-
will eat.
because Caleb's thinking about it now. Caleb's gonna ask Carol, maybe you can ask the Death Dozen dragons what they consider to be the most dangerous things out there.
Mm. Okay. What do
Might
you
be
think
useful information.
is the most dangerous ones out there?
Ourselves, the parasites, the beast,
Oh, they know about
and the sailed beast.
Sailed beast?
Does she relay what they said?
That sounds like she said sailed beast, whatever. I forgot what it said.
You hear her exclaim "sailed beast" before she starts speaking the
What
other
the
one.
fuck is a sail beast?
So they've encountered the beast?
Seems like it, or at least know of it.
Of course, the beast can go bloody wherever it likes.
And it seems like there's one that also has a sail.
Caleb's going, is there only one of the beast? Or does it have a mate?
Used to, doesn't anymore.
So it's the last of its kind?
Far as I know.
Well, it seems like its species wasn't really that successful if they're almost extinct.
Well, they were doing just fine before my cousin came along. Its mate died in captivity. I got this, and he gestures to the scars on his face, setting it free.
Oh, I see. So they were hunted to death.
Aye.
I'm guessing they were considered too dangerous.
Far as I know, Cousin Ergos was hoping to make weapons out of them, sick them on our enemies, but wasn't okay with that.
So you
Glad to
freed
know
the
that.
beast, yet it wants to eat you.
Well, never said that they understood the concept of gratitude.
Seems like from what Kara says, even the Death Dozen dragons consider it a serious threat.
Soren,
Given they did put it after themselves.
Soren kind of gives a somewhat non-committal shake of the head. We have our minds, but the beast is large and powerful. There is also the mist stalkers and the monster of the lake, but they can be avoided. The greatest threats on this island that cannot be avoided. The beast, the staled beast, ourselves. And he turns and growls at the small creatures. And the parasites.
Seems they also are quite concerned about the people, but that's mostly just because of weapons, I'm sure.
They take our land, and any conquest is met with greater force. We have to hide and run.
It was Carol just relaying
I'm
what
assuming.
Caleb was
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, well, it seems like they can understand you, just you can't understand them.
Okay. And so Caleb says, but it was different whenever it was the scaled ones, right?
The creature looks directly at you and gives a nod. Yes. They left us food, and in exchange, we let them have our hunting grounds when it was needed. Back then, we had every part of the island that was not the beast's territory. We did not rule the mountains. We did not rule the waters or the skies, but we ruled the jungles and the trees. In time, even the sands.
But then the dark-skinned ones showed up.
The bipeds.
And they just seem to take everything in sight.
Soren kind of shakes his head, and they have no regard for us or nature. Even the beast suffers. Our web of food grows thin, and as prey begins to die, so too do we.
Probably to their design. If they don't have to deal with anything else, then they just take everything.
At this, you can see Soren and all of his packmates visibly snarl.
Well, by the end of our mission, things should hopefully change somewhat at least.
And on that front, we are allies. As the conversation slows down and you guys start making your way at Liv's direction, all of you turn and see that behind the death dozens, a few of the little ones with the bulging eyes are curiously watching, kind of craning their necks to watch where you go. And Gil, when you lock eyes with the one that had been interested in you, it gives a wide, toothy smile and licks its chops.
Does when it looks at its chest, does it seem threatening in any way?
Yeah.
It's literally saying your food, Jeremy.
Make an insight check.
I'm just saying, is
one.
it doing it in
Yeah,
like an
he's chicken.
aggressive manner?
Yeah, make an insight check.
Maybe it has other plans.
18.
It seems actually very friendly. It almost reminds you of a dog licking its lips just to kind of wet them as it pants lovingly at your feet.
I don't like
Leave
that.
it.
I don't
Leave it.
like that
I'm not doing anything with
description.
it right
Yeah,
now.
well, you
Your
keep telling
tone
him to
tells
leave
me
it.
that he lost the role, but how?
They're pretty.
We have things to do. Let's go.
I will look at it for a second, and then continue on with the party for now.
For now.
Well, I got a
No.
feeling it's going to follow us. It's going to find me of their own accord.
Nobody leaves Gil by himself.
All right.
No, I didn't say that part out loud. I'm just saying
I don't care.
this was me myself.
Station, okay? Leave me alone.
Liv continues to lead you guys onward, and gradually you're taken through ever denser and wetter marshland. At this point, Neon, you're actually actively struggling, even with Morgan, to keep the cart moving as the water's getting deeper, the mud slicker and stickier. And as if that wasn't bad enough, the hanging low, wet branches of the willow trees actively get in Neon's way, or rather in Morgan's way, and you have to occasionally get them brushed to the side to see where you're even going. But by the early afternoon, the trees begin to thin, and you find yourself looking over a almost cove-esque bay in the swamp, and where the mud and muck meets the lapping waters of the lake of Scalders Lake shore. You see what may have once been a proud temple, but is now simply rubble, stonework bricks, the splintered remains of wooden doors, and only this rubble and the slight raised elevation above the swamp water is the only indication that there was ever anything of substance or note here.
Question, DM.
What's up?
Is it burned?
You do see parts of it do look like they were singed, yes.
Do I need to make a saving throw?
It's only like ash marks, so I'll say it's up to you. You might, but it's not actively on fire. It just looks like it was burnt.
I think it's okay for now.
Because she's only triggered by actual fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you all see corpses of dark elves scattered around the ruins.
I could talk to one of these guys and see if they.
Honestly, they might just yell blasphemy at the fact that you raised them from the dead.
It's quite possible.
I mean, you worked with, like, the... What were those people you worked with called again?
The Inquisition.
They seem like they would know a lot. Do Dark Elves have, like, strong beliefs about not raising things from the dead?
He kind of gives a bit of a shrug, and it's not blasphemous to do it by any means, but something tells me that it's not going to be very helpful.
Probably.
He nods to you, Lucian, and these bodies are fresh.
Mm-hmm.
So wait, this is recent?
Aye.
Well,
Alright. Caleb might need to do a little investigation.
All right, Caleb, as you hop off to go investigate, what are the rest of you doing?
so, do we see an entrance, or do we need to find that as well?
You can ask Liv. He did claim to know where it was, but you can also look for it yourself if you wish.
I mean, Liv's here. So
Yeah, I was trying to say that I want to investigate the bodies as well.
All right, Caleb, you can roll with advantage.
Looking for any and all valuables.
You want me to go ahead and roll, or are you going to go around the table first?
I'm going to go around the table, see what everyone's doing, but yeah, just bear in mind Gil's going to give you advantage. So, Zephyr, you just going to ask Liv then?
Yeah, he'll kind of just approach him like, okay, so you know where to go? Where to?
Oh, right, yeah. Follow me, Snapples. And he hops onto the...
Apples?
Hops onto the temple ground and starts guiding you, Zephyr. Kato, what are you doing?
Did he call Zephyr Snapples?
No, he just referred to the group as Snapples. He goes,
Yeah,
you guys were Snacks and Snapples, so.
I guess I'll just follow Liv since he's
Okay.
heading or leading us.
All right, Neon.
Oh.
You're muted if you're talking. All right, Lucian, what are you doing?
I'm gonna follow as well.
Okay. So Caro, Zephyr, and Lucian following Liv. I'll say Neon is currently disembarking Morgan. The Death Dozens simply sit and wait, guarding the perimeter. Caleb, go ahead and roll me investigation with advantage.
Guidance.
Roll investigation with advantage and then add a d4.
Okay, investigation, I get +2, and then do I have something that's a D4? Yeah, I do. Okay, so that'll be, in total, that's going to be +4, that's going to be 11. I literally rolled a 2, which would have been a 4, and a 7, which would have been a 9, but then I got to add another 2 to it.
All right. Caleb, you and Gil look over the bodies while Liv shows everyone the way forward. And as you all step onto the temple grounds proper, there is the remains of what were once grand stairs. Well, grand is a bit of a strong word. This temple doesn't look like it was huge, about the same size as the Temple of Restraint. There are runic carvings in Draconic on the floor. Some of it, though, has been smudged or burned away or covered in rubble. And as you look around at the different, basically, Lucian in particular, you're trying to almost piece together what this place looked like in its prime in your head as you look around. There does indeed appear to be a similar 4-room structure to this one, but with the doors burned down, it appears whatever structure this place had likely quite literally fell apart. And although it appears each room contained a now stagnant and rotting pool of water.
Yeah, don't mess with that water because it's probably got poison in it. Because
Caleb,
stagnant water is like poisonous, right?
Yeah, basically, like, just because stuff is going to start nesting in it, so yeah. And Caleb and Gil, as you guys start looking over the bodies, you notice each of them has an identical wound. A small stab on their stomach. It's in different places, but always the stomach specifically, just different places on the stomach. The other thing that kind of alarms the two of you about the bodies, and you kind of share a glance as you start noticing it, not only do these bodies appear fresh, they're still warm.
They just died.
Well, Caleb, the best way you can think to equate it in your head is these people aren't even dead. And you place
Caleb
a hand.
checked that.
Yeah, Caleb, you place a hand on one of their chests, and you feel a heartbeat.
Does Caleb tell Lucian this?
Is Lucian still in the area?
Yeah, you guys are all like in the rubble of the temple grounds. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Caleb will be like, Lucian, I don't think these are dead bodies.
I'm gonna go over to Caleb and I'm going to assess.
Lucian, what are you trying to?
Yeah.
What's up?
It's getting a little late for me.
No, yeah,
So
don't worry.
I need to get going.
Yeah, it's gonna end off soon. Don't worry. Lucian, what are you planning? Lucian, make me a medicine check.
Okay.
Also, are they're dark elves, right?
Yeah, these are all bodies of what seem to be inquisitors.
Nice.
I assume they're all like women, right?
Yeah, all women.
Say medicine.
Just checking for the mental image and all that.
Of course, yeah.
24.
One more time.
24.
Lucian, as you lean down, indeed, these people are still alive. Although you do notice they're starting to develop sores, likely from being stuck in one position for an extended period of time. Their bodies are moist and clammy from sweat, but yeah, they appear to be alive, just paralyzed, unable to move.
Do I think that this is some kind of poison?
You are almost positive.
Okay. In that case, the one that I'm touching, I'm going to cast Lesser Restoration on them.
Does that cure poisons?
It does.
Okay. All right. You all watch with varying degrees of interest as Lucian casts this spell, and a moment passes, and the Inquisitor's body, her mouth begins to foam before she suddenly sits up, with almost like banging heads with you, Lucian. And as she clutches you by the collar and shrieks in Elvish, "Again! Do it again!"
Okay, I do it again.
And as you panic and cast the spell, she freezes and looks down at her stomach, and as your spell takes hold, she sighs in relief, and you watch as her stomach kind of heaves a little bit, and she turns away from you and vomits. And as you all kind of peek, you see among the vomit is the small, struggling, half-formed form of a Trudon. And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
I see.
Oh, wow.
Weren't you glad I told you to leave it?
Our children need a mother, that one said.
Yeah, it seems like they don't... It seems like that's more just a general term to them, though, because they were talking about Gil at that point in time.
True.
Just need a body, a host.
They just need a warm body.
I believe they're just aliens from the movie Alien.
And they're small, so they could probably lay a lot of eggs.
I've been very excited for the introduction of the Trudons. It's very fun. So, let me switch.
Yeah, I did just realize a problem. I don't know if these, like, Inquisitors are going to approve of us poking around a blasphemous site.
I mean,
No.
I doubt they'll care.
Yeah, I doubt they'll care. I just saved their life.
It's got to be worth
you don't
something.
know.
Worst
Well,
comes to
that
worst, we kill him.
yeah, we'll see what happens. So, if you guys want to see more of my DMing, check out twitch.tv/GrahamCrackers, GRAEMECRACKERZ, for my Friday campaign, The Goldshine Investigations, at 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time, taking place in the same campaign setting, featuring the uncle and father of Aurora Blackmont on an adventure several hundred years ago. Also, check out our website at officiald5hub.info, freshly resurrected from the grave, like Lucian with a raised dead spell. Check the link that's just about to be posted in chat to join our official D5 Discord server if you want to hang out with us
Already
directly.
been posted.
And support our episode posted on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Podcasts, and the iHeart Podcast Network, wherever you happen to get them from. For our audio listeners, catch us live on Tuesdays at 9:30 Central Daylight Time.
And
On
Wednesdays.
yeah, don't worry, I'm getting to it. On twitch.tv/OddTornado Productions. And if you really enjoy this party and want to see more of it, tune in tomorrow, same time, 9:30 Central Daylight Time, same channels, for our Wednesday game, resuming our first D5 campaign, Under Locks and Keys, featuring a party of globe-trotting adventurers hoping to snatch a treasure from under the nose of the gods while it's unguarded. Check out Odd Tornado Productions official on Tumblr to find links to our other works, including our Cobalt Rogues Twitch channel at twitch.tv/AustinFreak123. If you enjoy what we do, please support us on Patreon. I will put a link in chat in just a moment, or on Ko-fi at Ko-fi/Odd Tornado Productions, and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/TornadoOdd, TNO capitalized. And if you really like my DMing and want to support me directly, I'm currently looking for players for a paid game taking place in the same campaign setting, but far in the future, as armies grow, technology advances, and adventurers are slowly becoming irrelevant. Whole new setting, but or rather, whole new part of the setting that's been referenced in this game, but hasn't been explored directly yet: the continent of Ephisum. The same place where the magic cards, dice, and chess pieces that you guys have came from.
Oh my God. Like, never had an opportunity where I'm thinking those cards have been useful. They just don't do enough damage.
It depends.
It's like I have a gun that can do 3d8 damage. How much do the Gambit cards do?
I think it's like 1d4.
Yeah, like 1d4 with some fancy effect, or 3d8 plus 3 damage.
Yeah, plus they have other effects, like sneak attack.
So, I think that covers everything. Thanks everyone at home so much for watching. Thanks all of you at the table so much for playing. And we'll see you all next week.